Hey there, Bodhispark. Welcome to this month's Masterclass. Today we're going to be focusing all on gratitude, as you may have already figured out. Before I sat down to record this, there was a part of me that wanted to do this slightly differently. I do have an outline here for us today, and I plan or intend to follow it, but I'm just going to see where it goes. Particularly for today's topic, because gratitude truly is something so important in my life and important in how we structure our success and whatever success means to you at this point in your life. So there is a part of me that wanted to do it slightly differently, but we'll see if it comes through, and we'll allow the spirit of gratitude to share with us what we would like to discover today. Gratitude is one of those things that's been such a key and pivotal players in my life, if you will. Not just in the way that I experience abundance, success, whatever that has looked like for me, the way that it's unfolded. But gratitude truly is, from what I've gathered, not just in my work, with clients, but also in just a lot of the things that I find, that I've come to find, gratitude truly is one of the most, if not the most important thing in how we can experience life from a very pure state. And I don't know if I can explain my essence and who I am and how I see the world without actually integrating the spirit of gratitude in how I might share myself. So to the extent that at Bodhisparks here, we are striving to be more courageous, more authentic, to be more aligned to serving our higher selves, to being more in integrity with what moves our hearts, what we're passionate about. Gratitude truly does need, if I had it my way, we would probably be celebrating gratitude every month of the year. And I wanted to create the space for the spirit of gratitude to show up, to express itself, to share what we need to hear with a level of a sacredness that I think it deserves. So gratitude is and has been key, not just in my work with clients, but also in my own life and all the ways in which I've found in the research of positive psychology, NLP, you name it. Gratitude truly is where it begins. Gratitude in the field of psychology began to be studied more than 20 years ago by a psychologist named Robert Emmons. And in his line of work, as well as others who have followed in his footsteps studying gratitude, we found lots of different things, right? So it's very important in almost all areas of our lives, in that it has been found to lower levels of depression and anxiety. People who are grateful, who practice gratitude, if you will, sleep better, have lower blood pressure, they have higher heart rate variability, which is just a fancy way of saying that their heart is strong and healthy. People who are grateful have better immune function, so they get sick less often. They have a greater pain tolerance. People who practice gratitude, this one I found really interesting as I was doing my research, find it easier to motivate themselves to practice healthier behaviors. So things like exercising, going for walks, moving their bodies, eating healthy. These are all things that people who practice gratitude find easier to do, to motivate themselves to do. People who practice gratitude, research has found that we can strengthen our interpersonal bonds. Our relationships are stronger because our levels of empathy increase, as well as our ability to communicate with one another increases. Our decision making, our productivity levels, all of those things are things that has been positively correlated with gratitude. And in fact, scientists have found that people who practice gratitude have a tendency to live longer. And I think It would be doing gratitude a disservice if we didn't touch on why gratitude, right? Why is this key? Why do I find that gratitude is so important in our everyday life? Why is it so important when it comes to acknowledging our direction and what we're striving towards in the Bodhisparks? And the reason why gratitude is key for not just how I feel my essence to be, but also in the way, as you can see from the research, in the way that we find abundance and success in our lives, is because gratitude has been defined as a state, if you will, right? So in 2010, we had researchers Sansone and Sansone define gratitude as the act of recognizing and acknowledging the good things that happen, resulting in a state of appreciation. So we've come to view gratitude as a particular state. It's the way we feel. But the thing is, when we narrow down or box gratitude into such a small little definition of, well, gratitude is just feeling appreciation, we miss the point. The point is that gratitude is a perspective. Gratitude is the way, the lens through which we can view our world. And if you are any bit familiar with things like NLP, there is a saying that the map is not the territory. And a lot of times what this means is that a lot of times we see our world, right? We see our reality and think that reality is how we see it. But the thing is, it's the nature of the human experiencing. It's inherent in our ability to be here right now as human beings, that there is really truly no such thing as objective science. There's no such thing as being able to view the world objectively. Everything that we see and touch, even as objective as like a tangible thing, like this is pink, it's fact. But what shade of pink is very subjective. How we perceive the pink is very subjective. How we see ourselves in this world, how we see other people in this world, the relationships in our lives, those things are very subjective. But we forget that the subjectivity of our witnessing our reality is something that happens in such a way that there are filters in place. And so this is what that saying, the map is not the territory, means, in that our reality is just the map of the world. But just because, or maybe just because is not the right phrase, but looking at this map, we tend to forget that what we're looking at is the map, not the actual terrain. So the more updated the map, the more efficiently you're going to navigate the terrain, right? Navigate this life or the human journey. And this is where gratitude comes into play here. Gratitude is a perspective. It is an upgrade to the map that you're holding, your reality. I'm going to do this all lesson probably today. And to push us a little bit further, gratitude isn't just a perspective. It's not just an upgrade. It's an upgrade that we have to choose to install into our map, into how we see the world. It's a filter, a perspective, the upgrade that we get to choose. It's not something that we're born with. And that's actually one of the key things about gratitude. It's that it's not just a state. It's not a feeling. It's a perspective. But it's not just a perspective. It's also a choice that we make. The upgrade. Do we want to upgrade and install, or do we not want to? You'll find that in the human body, in the brain specifically, and I think this is how for me it's been one of the more important things that gratitude has taught me. But specifically in the brain, we find that when we are practicing gratitude, when we're feeling grateful, when we're choosing to feel grateful, the part of my brain that's responsible for feelings like guilt and or a sense of obligation, those feelings, or specifically, as I was saying, the part of the brain that's responsible for making us feel guilty or like we're obligated to do something, those parts of the brain become inactive. And I think this is probably one of the more important things that I can highlight for you today, on top of what we talked about as gratitude being a perspective by choice. It is responsible for helping us to deactivate the parts of our brains that make us feel guilty or obligated to someone else. And that's probably pivotal for what we're striving to do here at the Bodhisparks. Because if you're here, it's very likely that you are very empathic, highly sensitive. Whether or not you identify with those words, you feel, like you just really feel. And because you have this innate ability to really feel, you feel other people's pain, and other people's perspectives become very important. If we're so busy being empathic and feeling guilty and feeling like we're obligated to other people, it gets in the way of us being able to truly experience life as it is and to express our true uniqueness in the way that we are unique. So gratitude has all sorts of benefits, right? The social well-being, emotional well-being, and psychological well-being is a very studied, I don't want to call it a fact, but phenomena related to gratitude. Gratitude has been linked in research to be, I don't know if it's, I'm not going to say responsible for, because that implies causation, but it's highly, highly correlated with things like feeling good, positive affect, life satisfaction, being extroverted, being able to forgive others. And there's actually a negative affiliation or negative correlation with substance abuse or even neuroticism, as well as an inverse relationship or a negative correlation with anxiety and depression. And the reason why I'm highlighting those parts of research again for you is because I want us to think about, I invite you to think about which of those things that you heard, positive affect, feeling good, life satisfaction, feeling really satisfied with your life, extroversion, being able to be yourself, be at ease with other people without constantly overthinking about what to say, how to say it right, what they're thinking of me, being able to forgive others for not meeting our expectations or perhaps stepping over boundaries that they weren't supposed to step over. The idea that maybe we tend to use alcohol, for example, as a crutch for whether it's social anxiety or just anxiety in general, or to calm ourselves, to invite a sense of peace, to quiet the monkey chatter. Or perhaps there is a lot of neuroticism, which is a word I think describes, or which is a word that I think really requires us to take a deeper look at, maybe a different masterclass just for the word neuroticism, but this inability to be or need to be in control all the time. So I invite you to think about how in your life, any of those things that we just described are things that maybe you think you might benefit from having more of. Which of those things do you really want to experience more of in your life? Because if any of the things that we just described are things that you would really like to feel more of, gratitude is where to begin, where we can start. So gratitude is so underrated in the sense that it's been found to have influence in all areas of our lives, social, emotional, psychological. It's so underrated because we tend to look at gratitude as a feeling instead of gratitude being a perspective, an upgrade to our map. And to remember, as a side note, as an asterisk or within parentheses, it is a choice that we get to make. It's not something that's just done to us or for us. I believe that gratitude is so rare today because of the way that we've developed as a society. If I want a cup of coffee, I can climb into my car, drive 5 minutes to one of my favorite coffee shops here in California. Please come visit. I will take you there. They have the best chocolate croissants I've ever had in my life. So good. So good, so good. But I can climb into my car, drive 5 minutes, and go get my favorite cup of coffee and the best chocolate croissant in the world. Whereas maybe hundreds of years ago, I'm not even going to go hundreds of years ago, maybe even 50 years ago, that wouldn't have been an option. In fact, a glass of water that I might be drinking now is something I take for granted. I walk over to the fridge, I open up the fridge door, and I place my glass under the filter, and I have drinkable, healthy, safe water. Whereas there are people in other countries right now that have to walk more than 20 miles every morning. And I'm not talking about adults who are 40 years old, have nothing else to do, they walk to get water. There are kids who are 10 that are walking 20 miles every morning to get jugs, gallons of clean, safe water to drink for their family before school even starts. And I think the way that our society has gone, and I'm grateful that we are so advanced, technologically advanced to the level with which we are, right? And how our society has developed, the infrastructure that we have that allows us to have these things at the snap of a finger. But I think maybe that's contributing to the inability for some of us to practice gratitude. Because of the way that we have developed as a society, we now have more expectations than we used to in the past. So instead of things like coffee or water that is truly a blessing, we think of them as an expectation. And as an expectation, or as we gather all of these expectations, right? To have clean water just by walking down the stairs to the fridge, to have the ability to use the bathroom, and to have sanitation work the way that it does, that we don't have to worry about walking to the outhouse and going through like the smells and the flies. Like, these collections of expectations that we've gathered and we are carrying with us today create such a perfect environment for gratitude to just be tossed out the window. It's no longer needed. It's kind of like with our phones, the way that they are, how good the cameras are. We don't need a specific, we don't need cameras anymore. We don't need notebooks or journals to write down tasks that we need to do. We don't need to carry our laptops or computers around to read our emails. It's unbelievable how much we have at our fingertips. And because we do, the concept, the spirit of gratitude is tossed to the wayside. Gratitude is so rare for that reason. Whereas if we take a different perspective and a different look, which is also a choice, consistently to look at the blessings we have. And when we take a look at our blessings, what we're grateful for, it's not about the big things, right? Like, it's so easy to say or respond and answer to the question, okay, what are you grateful for? I'm grateful for my friends, my family, my puppies who are sleeping next to me right now. I was going to show you, but I'm afraid that I'm not going to be able to move the camera back. Okay, maybe later. Our friends, our family, our health, right? Our education, those things are so easy to count the blessings for. What about the smaller things? I am so grateful to be able to sit here in front of you, to share and create the space to hold the spirit of gratitude in its sacredness that it deserves, or she deserves. I'm so grateful for the conversation that I got to have with my friend yesterday. I'm so super grateful that I was able to go grab some delicious fish tacos last night. All of those things Like the little everyday things, my ability to listen. I know you can't hear right now because of the way the microphone is set up, but my ability to be able to listen to soothing music. The little blessings in life are so difficult to focus on when we have these expectations in our minds. And I wanted to read a quote to you from 2016. Gratitude has, for many, been replaced by disappointment, anger, and resentment when these expected blessings either do not appear or they disappear. Gratitude has, for many, been replaced by disappointment, anger, and resentment when these expected blessings either do not appear or they disappear. And as a side note, this is probably the reason why our relationships are so shitty sometimes. Because when we have relationships, we build them to be very transactional. And one of the key reasons why we build transactional relationships is because we didn't have, or we were not given the right resources when we were younger in our more primary relationships. And I'm not blaming or putting fault any parent that I'm thinking of, you're thinking of, right? It's not about placing blame or counting who fell short. But this is the reason why a lot of relationships are so shitty. Excuse the language. It's because we have these expectations that our relationships need to be a certain way. And we place our relationships, we place love in this box of a transactional process when it's not. So as soon as we let go of expectations, instead of feeling things like disappointment or resentment or pain and hurt, gratitude now has space to come in. It reminds me of the time when I worked with a client who really truly wanted to have a partner, but he had such a hard time, and he tried the whole like online dating thing, even like the more exclusive dating sites or services that find partners for you. And I remember working with him, and one of the key points for him where he shifted his mindset was when we walked through the house together. And by together, I mean virtually, because we were doing a virtual session. And we found that there were probably in every room of his place, there was no space for someone else to come in. His closet was full, right? He only had one set of house keys. He didn't have an extra set of house keys, for example, right? And all we needed to do was create space in his physical reality, in his physical life. That was the thing, the domino that set all of the other dominoes in place for him to meet his partner. So when we can let go of expectations in our relationships, let go of expectations in our lives, even the daily, like I'm going to wake up and I get to take a nice hot shower. That is an expectation. If we remove that expectation and we create space, therefore, by removing disappointment or resentment or hurt or annoyed, frustration, gratitude has space finally to come into our lives. And as you and I have already discussed, gratitude is so pivotal in every area of our life. It truly, truly, truly is the easiest place to start when we want things like love and happiness and abundance. So how do we practice gratitude? We can practice gratitude when we think of the human experience. We can practice gratitude along the human timeline. We have the past, the present, and the future. And we can practice gratitude by focusing on any of those three things. So we can focus on the past. Maybe we can be grateful, just like I shared earlier, for things that happened yesterday, for things that happened just a moment ago. That's the past. How do we practice gratitude for the present? It's to actively make the choice to not take anything for granted. And what about the future? How do we take gratitude and choose it for the future? It's removing the expectation that something or things need to be a certain way. So the past, we practice gratitude by being grateful for all the memories, the things that happened before this present moment in time. We practice gratitude in the present moment by not taking anything for granted, by not judging things, and just being present, non-judgmentally. That's how we practice gratitude here in the present moment. How do we practice gratitude in the future? We practice gratitude in the future by removing expectations, by choosing to perceive the world in a way where we can count our blessings instead of counting our expectations. So the first step to practicing gratitude, outside of the foundation of understanding that there are different times we can practice gratitude, we can first start by allowing ourselves to feel it. And this is going to tie very closely to how I practice the law of manifestation or abundance or whatever you want to call it, right? Like attracts like. And I'm actually, maybe this is why I wanted to do things a little slightly differently. I'm going to ask us, if you need to pause this video, please feel free to do so. But I'm going to ask us to do an exercise together so you can actually see it in real time, feel it, and experience gratitude in real time. So it's one thing to visualize a future that we want. Maybe we want the perfect partner to show up in our lives. It's one thing to say you want it, one thing to say I'm going to manifest it by putting it on my vision board. But there's another thing. It's another thing to actually incorporate gratitude in a way that you can actually experience it, not just in the future when you finally have it, but to experience it now as if you had it. And that phrase, as if you already had it, I know is such a cliche, but it's so powerful when you truly experience it and understand it. So I'm going to ask you to pause the video if you need to, find a space where you can just relax, where perhaps you will be uninterrupted for a few minutes. It's not going to be like our meditations, maybe just a couple minutes, 2-3 minutes. And it's quiet and you're sitting down. And I'm going to ask you to close your eyes. So it's very important that you are sitting down and not walking or operating a vehicle. And just take a nice deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Just letting yourself release all tension and all concerns or worries. And you'll notice that a lot of times we carry those things in our shoulders. So when you on purpose relax your shoulder, you'll probably notice that your mind will follow and release the tension. Of the weight of carrying concerns. In a moment, I'm going to ask you to take, at your own pace, in your own rhythm, nice deep breaths, 3 of them. You're going to take a nice deep inhale in through your nose. You're going to hold it at the top. And then nice cleansing exhale out. You're going to do that 3 times. Allowing yourself to just breathe on purpose. Breathe with purpose. And begin to breathe for the purpose of experiencing the spirit of gratitude by creating space for her to come into your life. I would like your unconscious mind to bring to your awareness so you can observe something that you're grateful for today, someone that you're grateful for today. It can be big or small, just one thing. Just bring to your awareness what you're grateful for. And I'm going to call that thing object, whatever that is, the object of gratitude today. So it can be a person, Don't get hung up on me calling the person an object, but just the object of your gratitude today. Bring it to your awareness. And then I want you to see that thing. See the object now. Notice the colors, the shape. Just see how the object moves, if it moves. Now I want you to hear what you hear when you observe the object that you're grateful for. What do you hear? Maybe if you're grateful for a nice cold cup of coffee, I guess it would be a glass of coffee. Maybe you hear the clanking of the ice. If you're grateful for your dog, you might hear the dog bark, play, run, slurp up its food. Just notice what you hear as you see your object. And just breathe that in. And then I want you to notice what you feel. I don't mean feel in your heart space, but what do you feel as you're touching the object? And even if you're not directly touching the object, when you are thinking of the object, what do you feel as you're listening? Maybe you're standing around a kitchen island, so you feel the marble underneath your hands. What do you feel when you are observing the object of gratitude? Now I want you to notice what your heart feels when you are aware of the object that you are grateful for. What do you feel inside when you are thinking about the object and simply imagining the object, what you see, what you hear, and now what you feel inside? What do you smell when you're near the object? Notice what you might smell when you are imagining yourself there with the object of gratitude. And then bring your awareness to inside your mouth. What do you taste when you're there? Now I would like to ask your unconscious mind to bring it all together. And I want you to notice the feeling, the whole feeling, what it feels like to be grateful for that thing, the object. And then you're going to imagine something that you've been wanting, desiring. Imagine that now. Right here. When the thing that you've been wanting is here, and you feel this feeling that we've been feeling in the last few minutes, observe and witness what happens. Maybe your breathing slows. Maybe you realize that your shoulders slack even more. Maybe there was a swallow reflex that you noticed. Maybe inside, behind your eyes, it feels different. Maybe you can imagine this feeling growing, stronger, bigger. As if, right here, right now, just imagining, beautifully, wonderfully, magically, just imagine. And you feel the feeling eventually so much that the object of desire is no longer something you desire so much as it's happened. And then take a deep breath. Anchor it in if you'd like by pressing your right thumb and your right middle finger together. Just press it once. And then take another deep breath, bringing yourself back. And then you can open your eyes and wiggle your toes whenever you'd like, whenever you feel ready. So that's the first step, feeling gratitude. The thing is, when we put it together with the thing that we've been wanting, something that we desire, we notice that there is no longer a distance between the thing that I want, or the thing the desire, and the thing that I want. It becomes, there's a merge or a merger that happens. And there's no longer a separation between yourself and that object of desire when we bring in the spirit of gratitude. And then what you're going to do, step 2, is to express it. There's a man named William Arthur Ward that stated, feeling gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping a present and not giving it. Feeling gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping a present and not giving it. It's not necessarily that you have to give the present to someone specifically. You don't have to. So, in fact, there's been a study that showed that you can actually separate people who write gratitude letters and sent them versus people who just wrote the gratitude letters and then stored them away or threw them out. And there really was no difference in the benefits of gratitude there. So that leads us to, how do we activate gratitude in our lives? It's by feeling it and then actually expressing it. But how do we express it? You can do things like writing thank you letters to people. You can write thank you letters to the person that held the door today, or the person that smiled when you were out walking the dog. And that was it. Or you can express gratitude to your mom for giving birth to you. You can write a thank you letter to anyone. You can even write a thank you letter to your pups. You can write a thank you letter to the people that you've never met, that made sure that the food you ate for breakfast today was an option. So you can write thank you letters. Or you can simply just make a note. Mentally give thanks in real time, right? When you are doing the thing that you're doing and you notice the feeling of gratitude or the opportunity in the space to choose gratitude. You can keep a gratitude journal where maybe when you wake up or before you go to bed, you note the things that you're grateful for in that moment of that day. Gratitude can also be expressed in prayer, which a lot of people do. If you are religious, you pray to God, source, the universe, whatever that looks like, where you are counting your blessings and giving thanks for your blessings in your life. Or, finally, you can simply practice gratitude by meditating. Remember how we said gratitude can be one of 3 categories, right? Past, present, or future. You can practice gratitude in the present moment by practicing non-judgment and just meditate and be in that space of gratitude. When you're there, sometimes gratitude becomes indistinguishable from peace, or perhaps the two merge. And I think that's one of the key reasons why I continue to meditate, because of that sensation, that feeling, that experience. So that's gratitude for you today. I hope the exercise that we did together was extremely valuable, something that you take forward with you. It's definitely shifted my life. I actually did it with one of my clients recently, and she was in tears, bawling, because it was just exactly how she knew inside she wanted to feel, but didn't really have the right language, if you will, to express it. So I hope you take that exercise and you're able to do that consistently in the future as well. If you have any questions, if you would love to share how gratitude for you has changed your life, how it influences how you view your world, your perspective of the world, or perhaps there's something that came to you as an aha moment, an epiphany, if you will, please share it below. It's one of those things where I not just love reading what you're sharing, but there are so many people here at Bodhisparks that benefit from you being vulnerable and sharing what your experience is like. If this is where we part ways for now, it was such a pleasure and a blessing to be here with you today. And you know where to reach me, and I will see you on the other side. Bye.